Hey, if you love eerie stories, the kind that blur the line between reality and nightmare, you're in the right place. Here, we uncover the things you probably shouldn't know, but can't resist hearing. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and leave a like. It helps us keep telling the stories others are too afraid to speak.
Did you know about the man who sat on his porch one Halloween night and everyone thought he was just a decoration? This happened in a quiet California neighborhood. His name was Harold Mendez, a 74-year-old man who had lost everything: his wife, his savings, and his hope. Feeling forgotten, he decided to make one final silent statement. On a cool October evening in 2009, Harold put on his old brown jacket, sat in his favorite rocking chair, and stayed there. By morning, neighbors passing by assumed it was part of his Halloween setup. The stillness, the position, it looked too real to be fake. Kids dared each other to get close. The mailman delivered letters as usual, stepping around him. Everyone believed it was just a creepy but creative decoration. Days passed, and Halloween ended. Yet Harold remained on the porch. Soon, a strange odor filled the air, and joggers began crossing the street. Finally, one neighbor walked closer, brushing aside fake cobwebs, and realized the horrifying truth. It had never been a decoration at all.
You know, there's something hauntingly poetic about this story. A man lives his whole life, and in the end, becomes a decoration. People walked by, laughed, took pictures, and no one realized he wasn't a mannequin, but a human being who'd simply grown tired of being seen yet unnoticed. In a world where everyone looks but no one sees, he chose silence. It's ironic, isn't it? On Halloween, the night of the dead, the living mistook death for art. What scares me most isn't that he died on his porch. It's that dozens of eyes passed over him and not one truly saw him. We've blurred the line between what's real and what's staged. Maybe that's why the real horrors don't happen in the dark anymore. They happen right in front of us. We just stopped noticing.
Did you know? Some people think Michael Jackson never really died. Officially, he passed in 2009 from a heart attack caused by a drug overdose. But some details just don't add up. A few days before he died, Michael said someone was following him. He said, "They want to kill me for my music rights." He owned rights to Beatles songs, Elvis songs, and part of Sony's catalog. An empire worth billions. On the day he died, footage showed a strange body on a stretcher, face totally covered. A few hours later, witnesses saw a black van leave the side gate of Neverland Ranch. Inside, someone who looked exactly like him. Not long after, a mysterious video appeared on YouTube. It showed Michael walking out of an ambulance, totally fine. A few days later, the video was gone. Since then, there have been sightings all over the world. Paris, the Middle East, even public events. People wearing scarves caught attention because they looked just like Michael. Many believe he faked his death to escape pressure, massive debts, and threats from the industry.
Sometimes I wonder, what if Michael Jackson never really died? Not hiding somewhere, but choosing to disappear, to stop being seen. All his life, he was surrounded by lights, noise, people wanting a piece of him, and maybe one day he just got tired. Death is just another mask, isn't it? A way to stop performing, to finally belong only to yourself. Maybe he just put on the mask of silence. And you know what's strange? It actually makes sense. If you could vanish, erase your name, and live only as a legend, wouldn't you?
Did you know that in 2007, dozens of kids in Ohio received invitations to a birthday party? The invitations looked normal: colorful paper, balloons printed on the sides, even a handwritten address. Parents drove their children to the house, walked them to the front door, and saw balloons tied to the porch railings. Music could be heard faintly from inside. Some parents even waved at other children already playing in the yard. Seemed fine, but when parents returned later that evening, the house was empty. Not just empty, abandoned. Dust coated the floors, cobwebs stretched across the ceiling, and wallpaper hung in strips. The smell of rot filled the air. There were no balloons, no cake, no music. Neighbors said the house had been vacant for more than 20 years. Yet every child who entered that day was gone. Police searched, but found no fingerprints, no tire tracks, no signs of forced entry. Invitations collected from parents were blank, as if the ink had vanished overnight. To this day, none of the children have ever been found. Locals whisper that sometimes, on quiet nights, you can still hear faint birthday songs coming from that house.
Sometimes I feel the scariest things happen where we feel safe. Kids go to a party, laughter, music, colorful balloons. Everything feels alive and familiar. But what if that's just a mask? What if behind the smile lies a void that swallows you the moment you stop watching it? The frightening part isn't that the children disappeared, it's that they could have been nearby and we never noticed. We trust invitations, doors, celebrations. We don't ask questions until it's too late. And the empty house? It's never empty. It's just waiting for someone to stop fearing the void beside it. Then disappearance becomes not an accident, but a rule.
Did you know that between Virginia and Washington, D.C., there's a rural road known as Route 29, where dozens of people have reported seeing the same impossible thing?
A man in a filthy bunny costume, holding an axe.
The legend began in the 1970s when a couple was driving home after a party. It was late, foggy, and they were taking a shortcut through a wooded stretch of Route 29. That's when they saw him, a tall figure standing on the roadside completely still. He wore white coveralls, stained red in places, and a bunny mask with dark, empty eyes. They slowed down, thinking it was some kind of prank, until he hurled an axe straight into their windshield. They swerved and escaped, but when police arrived minutes later, there was no one. Just deep boot prints in the dirt and the axe lodged in the glass. The story made the local news, but that was only the beginning. Over the next year, at least 15 separate reports came in, all describing the same figure. Some said he appeared in the middle of the road. Others said he chased their car on foot. One man claimed the bunny stood outside his house for hours, not moving. In 1971, 2 teenagers vanished while driving home along Route 29. Their vehicle was found days later, deep in the woods. The inside was empty, and on the hood, someone had written in red letters, "The bunny knows." Locals now warn travelers, if you're ever driving down Route 29 late at night, and you see someone standing by the trees wearing white, don't stop, don't open your window, and whatever you do, don't stare into the mask, because once the bunny knows your face, he never forgets it.
The terrifying part isn't someone wearing a mask and holding an axe. It's that sometimes a monster appears where you thought it was safe. It stands still, and your mind searches for an explanation, until you realize there isn't one. The real horror is the feeling of being watched constantly. The road you've driven 1,000 times suddenly stops being yours, and fear doesn't hit you all at once. It settles in quietly, whispering that you'll never leave. Some things don't disappear with the sunrise. They linger in shadows, in memories, in the scars on glass and trees. And if you look too closely, they might just be looking back.
This is a true story. In 2004, a family found what they thought was a stray dog on the side of a country road. But in reality, it wasn't a dog at all. It looked like one, thin as a greyhound, silent, with glassy eyes that never moved. They pitied it, brought it home, and called it Max. But Max never barked, never blinked, never slept. At night, he only sat in the hallway, perfectly upright, staring at each bedroom door as though counting. The children whispered that his shadow moved when his body didn't. The mother said she heard soft, breezy laughter drifting through the dark. One night, the father woke for water. That's when he saw it. Max was no longer sitting. He was standing on 2 legs, taller than the doorframe, his back crooked, his mouth stretched wide into a smile full of human teeth. By morning, the family was gone. They abandoned the house forever. Days later, when the realtor arrived, the front door hung open. Inside, the house was silent. In the hallway, something waited, still patient, watching. Locals say the house never sold. And if you dare to look through the window at night, you might see Max, standing, smiling. Tell me your country name so I make story from there.
You know what's most terrifying? Not that the house was empty, but that people remember the music, the balloons, the laughter. Something was there, and if it happened once, who's to say it won't happen again? Maybe right now, in another town, new invitations are being printed. Bright paper, smiling balloons, and only one question remains. Who are they for this time?